Hare Krishna. So we studied the other 6 characters. They all fought or were emotionally connected to the evil side. Bhishma, Drona, Karna, Duryodhan, Dhritarashtra and Gandhari. And this 7th character, Yudhishthira Maharaj, in one sense, as we said, even though he had no enemies, because of him, many people became enemy of Yudhishthira Maharaj because of his great qualities. So therefore, the title, one may say, why he is a catalyst? Why is he responsible for the war in Kurukshetra? So I'll go by the slides only. I'll try to remain as focused as possible. So Dharmo Vivardati Yudhishthira Kirtanena. This is a very, lot of people, they glorify Yudhishthir. When you remember Yudhishthir Maharaj, then your intelligence in Dharma increases. One may say, how is it possible remembering a personality you become? Simple principle is that as you associate with someone, you become like that. Psychologically also. All these self-help groups, talking about positive thinking, it is rooted in our Vedic literature. When you think about the bad people too much, you become like that. Therefore, those who are abused, if they keep on thinking about how they were abused, eventually they also become abuser. So, when we remember Yudhishthira Maharaj, then our dharma increases. So, we'll begin with that. We saw this character. Dhritarashtra was born through an union full of fear. Duryodhan was late to take birth, so his mother lamentably smashed her own home. Karna was unwanted because he took birth at the wrong time. Drona was born of temptation and test. Bhishma was about to be drowned by his mother. His father saved him by condemning her. Right? Everything is, in one sense, abrupt, not very natural. But Yudhishthira Maharaj, Gandhari lived life of blindness. But Yudhishthira was born with a purpose. Where was the purpose? When Pandu Maharaj, according to the changing times, the priorities also change. When Yudhishthira Maharaj's father was living in the forest, being cursed by a Muni, so he lost the power of procreation. He couldn't procreate. If he tried to procreate, he would be killed, he would die. But the need for children was burning in his heart, because being a king, he had to create a legacy. So when he got to know that Kunti had received this benediction, he said, we need to invoke the presence of Dharma. So Kunti performed tapasya, invoked Lord Yama, who is personification of Dharma, came. Yama, Kala, Rudra, these are all one aspect of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So he came and he gave Yudhishthira Maharaj to Kunti. Now if you study Bhagavatam, Gita, Mahabharata, in so many places, so many great acharyas, rishis, devotees, they talk about why Krishna appeared. In fact, why incarnation, avatars descend to this world. They descend to this world because dharma samsthapanarthaya. To establish dharma, dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. Paritranaya sadhunam vinashacha dushkrutam. Now this is the reason the avatars appear. And avatar is always connected to Vishnu only because the 3 gods, 3 guna avataras, Brahmaji, Shivaji and Vishnu, Now Brahmaji's duty is to create, Shivaji's duty is to destroy, and Vishnu is supposed to maintain. So maintenance requires inviting the mechanic regularly to your place to repair your car. Right? Similarly, when your wheel of the car loses its alignment, what do? You take your car to the mechanic to realign it. So similarly, this entire material nature, especially earthly planet, time to time it loses its balance, alignment is lost. Just like Veena, any string instrument, nowadays guitar, no? Right. So when a Veena, when the Shruti Sar, when the string becomes not aligned, what does it do? It sends wrong kind of swara. So the player of the Veena, he balances it, he makes it tight. And it tightens it so much, it does not break. If he does too much of tightening, it breaks down. That is like Parashuramji coming down. Parashuramji was only following one rule. What is that? Dushta Tadanam. Even though he was Vishnu, he was actually playing the role of Lord Shiva. And another very interesting principle, that maintenance can only happen when Vishnu comes along with Lakshmi. When Lord Narayan is alone without Lakshmi, he becomes Lord Shiva of destruction. So he comes together with Lakshmi because just like how Lord Narayan, Lord Krishna dealt with Bhishma, for creating governance he punished him, but in regards to affection he rewarded him. Simultaneously was able to do both the things. He acted like a thunderbolt in regards to his wrongdoings, but he acted like a soft rose in regards to blessing Bhishma Dev. So dharma, when he says dharma samsthapanarthaya, in one sense, indirectly, the Lord was thinking about establishing Yudhishthira Maharaj as the king. Just imagine how great Yudhishthira Maharaj is. In the Bhagavatam we read, Shukadeva Goswami begins the 10th canto of the Bhagavatam. Once when Mother Earth was overburdened by hundreds of thousands of military phalanxes of various conceited demons dressed like kings, she approached Lord Brahma for relief. And from there they went to Kshirosagar. And the Lord told all the devatas have already planned to come to earthly planet. And Narad Muni, when Keshi demon was killed in Vrindavan, he comes to Krishna. He speaks to Krishna. He speaks to Krishna about what he is going to do in the future. He first says, you that very same creator have now descended on the earth to annihilate the Daitya. In Vrindavan is talking about Dharma Samstapana. Pramatta and Rakshasa demons who are posing as kings and also to protect the godly. He predicted you will also put an end to the king of Chedi. During the great Rajasuya sacrifice, Krishna has not even landed in Mathura. He has not even handled Kamsa. But in Vrindavan, Krishna is thinking about the Pandavas. And therefore, Narad Muni is able to grasp to the mind of Krishna. He said, subsequently, I will see you appear as time personified, serving as Arjuna's chariot. Can you imagine Arjuna's good fortune? I don't read in the Mahabharata where Arjuna was remembering Krishna. But you read in the Bhagavatam, Krishna was remembering Arjuna even before meeting. Krishna expressed greater eagerness to meet the Pandavas. The first time officially the Pandavas meet with Krishna, when do they meet? When Krishna comes to see the the Swayamvar ceremony of Draupadi. The Lord is sitting as a spectator and his devotee is a performer. And what does Arjuna do? Instantly develops affection to Krishna. On that assembly, everyone was completely absorbed in looking at Draupadi. Everybody was dreaming, or their followers were dreaming. So nobody observed the Pandavas. But the Pandavas observed Krishna, but more than Pandavas observing Krishna, Krishna told Balramji, he said, "Hey Balram, just see those 5 people, they are Pandavas." Balramji said, "But they are dead." He said, "That is only a rumor. No, orchestrated. Because as much they are dead, that much they are protected." So when Arjuna lifted the bow, he remembered Krishna, he remembered Dronacharya, he remembered his mother, and lifted the bow and shot the arrow, and sure enough, the fish came down. So Krishna got to see the success of his devotee from very beginning. So therefore, Narad Muni is predicting directly Arjuna's chariot, destroying entire armies of soldiers to rid the earth of her burden. So, whenever we read Shastra, none of our incarnation you will find without weapons. तो प्रश्न उठता है ना कि in the Sanatan Dharma, why all the gods have weapon other than Lord Brahma? You don't see Lord Brahma carrying weapons. Every other god, whether it is Indra, whether it is Surya, whether it is Vishnu, whether it is Rudra, whether it is Durga, right? They have weapons in their hands. Krishna is Shankha, Chakra, Gada, Padma. The Shankha is there to give you assurance. The lotus is there to exhibit his victory or giving affection. But there is also Gada and Chakra. Because we'll study that, as we go further. Because when the Lord comes to this material world, because the material world is land of duality, the good and bad people exist. Just like a doctor has a medicine to give assurance about your cure, but he also has the instrument. What does Dhanvantari carries in his hand? He has, this blood sucking, what are they called as? Leech. Dhanvantari, if you see Dhanvantari's picture, he has leech. For what? If you have taken Panchakarma treatment for removing the bad blood, they place leech on your body. And instantly the leech starts becoming bigger and bigger and bigger. And they place that in the, in the turmeric powder. Right. Why? Sucking the blood. It's in the hand of Dhanvantari. Because there is a bad blood also. So that is the principle. So therefore it is explained there is a masculine morality and feminine morality. A feminine morality is required for life, relationship and forgiveness. Masculine morality is required for system, country and corporations. Why it's moving? Oh, acha. Relationships, life and to forgive. Masculine, country, system and corporations. Affection and efficiency, they go hand in hand. To show affection, you need the feminine side. And for efficiency, you need masculine side. Take our nostril, for example. There is a Chandra Nadi and there is a Surya Nadi. When you start breathing, if you want to do pranayam, anulom and vilom, how do you start? You begin with Chandra Nadi. Right. So it is explained when you want to write poetry, want to appear for exam, you want to write a drama script, you want to write something creative, when you want to do some art. So what do? you try to make your Chandranadi active. Now Chandranadi is the feminine side. And Surya Nadi is about rising from the bed. Action. When you want to lift weight, you want to do something passionate work, then your Surya Nadi has to be activated. If you consider, no, I only want to make my Chandra Nadi activated, then you'll have to go to the doctor. And if you say, I only want to activate my Surya Nadi, then also you have to go to the doctor. Because when we aspire for something which is imaginary, which is not real, which we do aspire many times, wish this should have not happened. That has already happened. Right. We always wish more than accepting what actually happened. So therefore, these two coexist. They're always integrated, but the reference point is based on the need of the hour. I went to a yoga class, and the teacher was telling there was a cricketer who had come. He was been sacked from the Ranji Trophy. So he thought, okay, let me learn some yoga. And the teacher told him, I will teach you certain secrets. He said, because your personality type is a Kapha type. And the Kapha type personality is always, chalta hai na, they are little softer. The killer's instinct is not there. Their principle is, if we can sit, why stand? Their principle is, if we can sleep, why sit? If we can be peaceful, why struggle and fight with people? That is a Kapha Prakriti. So he said, whenever you go to bed, you sit and perform this pranayam where your Surya Nadi has become activated. It will work for you. Of course, the yoga should not be used for cracking a century. That is not the purpose. But the point is, it has the utility. Just see the balance between the male and female energy is always existing. The reality of peaceful life is a war in regular intervals. However, many people, the so-called intellectuals, so-called people who are from the human rights movement, they talk about, let us create a world which is full of peace. But the point is, for creating a peace, there has to be war regularly. Not that there has to be, there will be a war regularly. If there is no war on the battlefield, whenever there is a peaceful society, they create an internal violence. If you study 1,000 years battle, nowadays the battles don't happen so much as much it used to happen before. Just imagine China alone. I studied this 10 years ago. I don't know how much now. 10 years ago, China alone aborted 40 crore children in the womb. 40 crore. China alone. That is not violence. No, to create a peaceful country so that everybody gets their share, because overpopulation, according to their theory, having less resources and more people will create greater violence. So therefore, don't allow children to take birth only. 40 crore. And we may say, oh, there is no war happening. Before, people were very, very brutal, savages. Everywhere, every civilization, every race, every cult, whether it was America, South America, Europe, Greek, Indian civilization, Arabic civilization, constantly war was happening. But because of the modern education, industrialization, the revolution of Renaissance, what happened? People have become more sober and more intellectual. No, tell me the figure, number. Right, the number says it is not the truth. Therefore, all the scripture talk about Devasura conflict is a constant one. Ahimsa and Himsa are constantly existing. So Yudhishthira Maharaj, basically, why is a catalyst? Because his mindset was a feminine morality. He considered that forgiveness is the supreme character of the living entity, and he should always forgive. At one point of time, there was a debate between Draupadi and Bhima on one side and Yudhishthira on the other side. And Draupadi was telling about, he said, you know what? He said, when you try to forgive those who doesn't deserve, they simply attack you more and more. He said, they don't deserve forgiveness, they deserve punishment. And Bhima said, my dear brother, have you seen those who forgive, they are not taken very seriously. Only those who have weapons in their hand, my dear brother, have you seen nobody worships Lord Brahma anywhere in the universe? Other than two places. Nowhere people worship Brahma. There are no temples of Lord Brahma, and he is the original father. Society forgets father very much, more than the mother also, many times. So he said he is not worshipped. Why is he not worshipped? Because people take him for granted because it doesn't have weapon. But see other devatas, people fear them. Therefore, if you forgive people, those who do not deserve, what will happen? People will take you for granted. They will trample upon you. That's what he said. Ironically, everything that Yudhishthira avoided as possible causes of war became the very instruments that evoked the war. Yes, one aspect of gambling match, we will talk about the gambling match, that is the beginning of the war in one sense. Yudhishthira Maharaj was told by Narad Muni, he came from the Pitriloka, and he said, you know what, your father is stuck in the Pitriloka, he is not moving ahead, and is requesting you to perform Rajasuya sacrifice. When Yudhishthira heard that I have to perform Rajasuya sacrifice, he became little panicky. He said, performing Rajasuya sacrifice, that means I have to trample, control, declare war against others, and this is not me. So he decided not to do, but then he sent a letter to Krishna. He said, beautiful letter he wrote to Krishna. And meanwhile in Dwarka, the messengers from the kings who were captured by Jarasan, came to Krishna. And the messenger said, Krishna, because of our arrogance, because also being subdued by Jarasan, we are living such a miserable life. Why don't you come and free us? Hundreds and thousands of kings, small kings were captured by Jarasan, and he wanted to offer them Narabali. So can you imagine? Narabali is not recommended in the scripture, but there are always certain people who will recommend you because they get good dakshina. So somebody recommended Jarasan to perform Narabali, and instead of Narabali, why not Nripati Bali? Raja ko kyun bali nahi chadhate ho? Isliye he was capturing everybody, bringing there, and he was looking for the right time to give Bali to Kal Bhairav. So the Yadavas were already angry with Jarasan. They had already fought many times. So they rose, we are going to fight him out. So then Uddhav was invited. Uddhav said, Krishna, we are not supposed to do that. There is someone else who is supposed to do. And Uddhav gave an advice to Krishna. Just see, Krishna is the Supreme Lord, but still is taking advice from Uddhav, who acted like more as a Brahmana. And meanwhile the letter came, so Krishna came to Hastinapur, and Yudhishthira said, my dear Krishna, if I ask my very dear people, they will always support my decision. If I ask those who criticize me, they will not support my decision. Those who are like motherly, parental, they'll always say don't do anything because it is not safe. The grown-up son who is an army commander or army chief also, his mother would say, beta sambhal ke rehna, kuch ho jayega. Huh? Because that is the nature of parental affection. So he said, Krishna, everybody will give their opinion based upon what is their connection with me and their mind also. But Krishna, you are neutral. Neutral means you do not have any attachment to anybody. You will give a very correct, critical understanding what should I do and how should I do. So Krishna said, and then Krishna narrated the entire history about Bharatvarsha. He talked about Varna Sankarta. He talked about how the king has to be controlled. He talked about his own kingdom, Dwarka. Means Krishna knew the entire history of Bharatvarsha. He talked about how Varna Sankarta started, and he said, my dear Yudhishthir, you should perform this sacrifice. And to perform this sacrifice, first thing is that we have to go and attack Jarasandha. Yudhishthira Maharaj said, I don't want to do this. He said, you are telling me I have to attack Jarasandha. He is very powerful and that will cause so much of violence everywhere. He said, I can't. That will cause problem. Arjuna said, my dear brother, death is inevitable. You think if you don't go to the battlefield, you will not die? We are warriors, we are Kshatriyas. See, Arjuna is telling Yudhishthira Maharaj when he is bewildered, and eventually Arjuna became bewildered. So then he said, don't worry. Then Krishna told Yudhishthira, no, we will not create a war. Only 3 of us we will go as beggars. And we will beg a battle from Jarasandha for a duel. एक दूसरे से लड़ेंगे. Yudhishthira Maharaj started crying tears. Krishna, for our sake, again you will become like Vamandev. Go and beg. So, when Yudhishthira Maharaj told Krishna, when he allowed them to go, he said, Krishna, you are my very heart. And Arjuna and Bhima are like my 2 eyes. So they came, they defeated Jarasandha. And then eventually all the 4 directions, all the 4 Pandavas went, brought lot of wealth. That is how Arjun received the name Dhananjay. And they came back to Indraprastha and they declared their intention of celebrating Rajasuya sacrifice. Everybody came to Rajasuya sacrifice. That is the place where Duryodhan became mad with Yudhishthira Maharaj. That is the place where all the sages blessed Yudhishthira Maharaj. After the Rajasuya sacrifice about to be completed, there was one last aspect of it. What is it? Agra Puja. So they were looking that whenever there is Agra Puja, that will give rise to conflict. We have to worship someone, better than everybody else. So if you worship Dronacharya, Vishwamitra might get offended. If you worship Bhishma, Bhagadatta might get offended because he's also contemporary. And there is no question of worshipping Dhritarashtra. Everybody will feel offended. So, when Bhishma asked Yudhishthir or Sahadev, so they chose Krishna as the person who should be worshipped in the Agra Puja. And everyone was happy. Everybody clapped. Except some of the Kauravas, Duryodhan. But they had to keep quiet. But there was one personality, when he heard that Krishna will be worshipped, he went mad. He went totally mad. So, but he decided, let the sacrifice be complete. Let them worship Krishna wrongly. After they worship Krishna, then I will prove how they are wrong. She was waiting. After Krishna's worship was done, Shishupal got up. When Shishupal got up from his seat and he started slandering Krishna left, right, center. He said, hey, come on, we are giving this tributary not because we are afraid of Yudhishthir. He said, because he's our relative, he is doing some great sacrifice and we wanted to come and see this sacrifice, but you are taking advantage of our niceness. We are very kind and you are worshipping this Gala. He is such a crooked personality. What was supposed to be my privilege of marrying Rukmini, she wanted to marry me. Just see how the story changes. And he kidnapped her. He goes and lives in the ocean. He doesn't have any civilization. So he started babbling so much. And our Bhima said, hey, stop it. Otherwise, I'll pull out your tongue. Arjuna was ready to strike. Krishna made everybody stop. It's a big, long, that will take 10 days to discuss. The Shishupal Vad issue, because Bhishma speaks all the 10 incarnations of the Lord to tell him what is the greatness of Krishna. But Shishupal does not listen. He keeps on slandering Krishna. 1, 2, 3, 4, 99, 100, 110, 120. He just loses whatever the promise had given to mother of Shishupal. If your son speaks more than 100 bad words against me, I will kill him. Krishna had told. And would always criticize Krishna up to 99. But here he lost. So Krishna took his Sudarshan Chakra and he removed his head. And he saw inside, aur kuch gali bacha hua hai kya? So when the head fell off, Yudhishthira Maharaj became very concerned. He asked Vyasdev. He said, my dear Lord, why this should happen? When such a beautiful sacrifice was happening, why this happened? Why did this happen about my cousin? Vyasdev told something which Yudhishthira Maharaj did not hear properly. He heard it. He heard it but didn't feel it. Vyasdev said, my dear Yudhishthir, after 13 years, Kala will use you for a great devastation in the form of war. आपको काल उपकरण बनाकर धर्म संस्थापना करने के लिए बहुत बड़ा युद्ध होगा. When Yudhishthira heard this, what he felt, I am responsible. There is a difference between being responsible and being instrument. And instantly took a vow. He said, I will never ever disobey the advice, instruction, orders of my superior, whatever they tell me to do. Why did he take that vow? Because he felt that having a second opinion is cause of conflict. Sometimes people tell you, just blindly follow your authority, as if that will not create a conflict. One is an external conflict, and second is an internal conflict. Eventually that will also lead to an external conflict. That is the truth of life. But Yudhishthira Maharaj wanted to practice always the feminine justice. He said, I will only follow whatever my superiors tell. When he took that vow, Duryodhan and Shakuni were still loitering in Indraprastha. The point is, a guest is guest only as long as the function is happening. If you keep the guest more than 3 days or whatever stipulated time, what happens? It creates a trouble. And Duryodhan fell in that water, right? And people blame Draupadi for it. Are op gira, and people say Draupadi is responsible because she laughed at him. What else she can do? If a stupid guy falls in the water, always haughty and very, very arrogant, वो गिरने पर हंसना ही चाहिए. He's object of humor. Yes, if some old person, blind lady falls, then you should feel compassionate. So he was not sportive. So when Draupadi was smiling, Yudhishthira Maharaj tried to stop. Krishna said, let her laugh. So Krishna allowed her to smile, laugh. And Bhima said, oh, अंधे का बच्चा अंधा ही होता है. He said, the blind person's son is a blind only. And he laughed. He took pleasure. But Duryodhan took it so seriously. And they heard this vow. Therefore they came to Hastinapur, told Dhritarashtra, we should invite them to gambling match. And when Vidura was told to go and invite for them to gambling match, Vidura said, my dear brother, you are sowing the seed of destruction. Don't do this. It is not good. Dhritarashtra said, I am telling you, go. This will be a friendly match. There is no question of any seriousness in this. It's a friendly match. But Shakuni had already told Dhritarashtra, with every throw of dice, I will take one thing of the Pandavas. I'll make them lose everything. So when Vidura came to Indraprastha, Krishna had already left to Dwarka. Krishna was not there. And Vidura told him about the gambling match. And what was the vow of Yudhishthir? I will always submit to my superiors, whatever they say, so there should not be any conflict. That was the reason. And that very reason made him come to gambling match. Certainly, Yudhishthira Maharaj was curious about gambling. That was one of his limitations. He was attracted to Dyuta, but never played. Right? When you are inquisitive and never played, the inquisitiveness increases more and more. It's very interesting. Kindness and submission towards the superiors who are adharmic only creates greater nastiness to the larger society. To such an extent he became submissive to his superiors when they asked him to gamble Draupadi. Nowhere in the history of creation where a king has taken his very wife for a gambling match. Ordinary people must have done here and there. There are stories like that. People, do many things wrong. But Nala Maharaj, he was gambling with his brother, being affected by Kali. When Pushkar asked him to stake his wife in the gambling match, Nala got up with great anger and he walked away with his wife. He did not gamble. But Yudhishthira Maharaj, when Draupadi asked him once, what did he say? I act because I must. When Draupadi asked, why practice dharma? Yudhishthira said, I must not for fruit, but the act itself. And if you study that part of the Mahabharata, in the book Real Side, this is one of the story of controversies and the gambling. Why Yudhishthira Maharaj gambled? Because he was so focused on performing his duty, act because I need to act. That was his continuous statement. Dharma means Yudhishthir. Dharma, take the essence of dharma, that is Draupadi, to practice dharma, superficial dharma of submission to superiors. Draupadi gambled in the gambling match. Immense adharma was created and none could change it other than avatar. Personification of dharma, therefore this question will always raise conflict in the heart of people. Always they ask this question, if dharma personified of Hastinapur, Yudhishthira Maharaj can gamble his very wife, how can we take him seriously? How can we take him seriously? Duryodhana doing it we can understand. Dushasana doing it we can understand. Bhima in one sense losing his control we can understand. But Yudhishthira Maharaj gambling his wife, how can he do it? Therefore the logic of the Mahabharata is, when dharma performs adharma, जब धर्म अधर्म को बनाता है, it creates a colossal adharma. It is not small isolated adharma, and such adharma can only be rectified by the avatara alone. Nobody can rectify it. And when Yudhishthira Maharaj gambled Draupadi, as if he was mad, crazy, lost, when Shakuni said, why don't you gamble Draupadi? Everybody is sitting there. And while gambling, he glorifies Draupadi's bodily limbs. He says her nose is more valuable than whatever gold or diamond or jewel I have staked. He describes the part of her very wife's body in the presence of Bhima, Nakula, Sahadev, Arjuna, Bhishma, Drona, Kripacharya. And why this is all happening? This is all happening because of submission. And once he starts gambling, he got involved in it, and therefore nobody, and Krishna gave the glimpse in that gambling match only. Even though he was not there, he came there to give sadi to Draupadi. Yudhishthir, till up to the gambling match, knew the politics of ethics. व्यवहार के बारे में उनको व्यवहारिक तत्व theory he knew, but he did not respond quickly to the ethics of politics. Understand it? Sometimes people say there is no ethics in politics only. But the ethics of politics changes according to whom are you dealing with. There are three nitis: Brahaspati niti, Shukra niti, and there is Kanika niti. Kanika niti is what? Grab everything at any cost. Kill your father, kill your mother, kill your brother, kill everybody, get the power by any means. That is Shukra niti, that is Kanika niti. And what is Brahaspati niti? Brahaspati niti says only follow the fair means. Never broke the rule. Only through dharma you do good. But now just imagine Brahaspati niti is fighting with Kanika niti. When will Brahaspati niti win? Is there any chance? Some distant relatives, or nowadays your own brother, sister, they are filing a case against you. Murder case, abuse case. And you say, I will not tell any lie. If you do that, it's okay. If you decide, I will lose all my property, but I will not do anything like this, certainly your words will come true. You lose everything. And if you're alone, there is no other members to depend upon you, doing that is good, because you'll feel, okay, what else is there for me? I will not compromise. But your non-compromising Brahaspati niti is putting the members of your own family in a difficult situation. That is another kind of violence only. He knew Raja Dharma, but he did not know Raja Tantra. And the Mahabharata explains this. Krishna knew Raja Dharma, Krishna knew Raja Tantra also. And therefore Yudhishthir's strategy was, two parties fighting for land are like dogs barking for piece of bone. Like, kya hai? Say, what is kingdom? What is royalty? What is Raja Dharma? It's all about barking like a dog, fighting for one piece of bone. He glorifies the path of giving up conflict. But Bhima suggests that is true. Then all the trees, deers and rabbits should achieve perfection. He says one should give up everything and go to the forest and live a life of recluse. Yudhishthira Maharaj says this to Bhima. Bhima said that means even the rabbits, rats, everybody should be perfected in the forest. Mother Kunti sends message to Yudhishthira. We're talking about his feminine ethics. Always reluctant, always Brahminical. He argued that forgiveness is superior to discipline. Yudhishthira followed Brahaspati's ethics till the gambling match. He changed his way following the event. Idealism without practicality is as brutal as terrorism. As long as the Hitler is dead, but Hitlerism is not dead. Stalin is dead, but Stalinism is not dead. As long as the Hitler, Stalin and cheating exist, people such as Gandhi, Buddha or Jesus will only become martyrs or create other martyrs. It's a harsh statement, but that is a true statement. Many times I read, even so-called people who write about environment, they write in their literature, this is the land of Buddha and Mahavir. But seldom they write this is the land of Ram and Krishna also. Is it a right narrative? When you say this is the land of Buddha and Mahavir, and don't quote Krishna and Ram. So the question is, do we need Buddha and Mahavir? Certainly we need. Because feminine ethics is also very important. In spiritual progress, in individual progress, one has to have that character also. But that very character, when it is used for the social level, what does it do? It simply gives you more and more injustice. Gandhi's non-violence is very good for personal growth when you are doing bhajan. And everybody should do bhajan also. But when you impose that personal principle as the system, as Socrates said, when a personal principle, personal experience is made into a system, that is the beginning of violence. In fact, the history says, where did our king develop more non-violence than what the Mahabharata explains? Where was it coming from? Ashoka's non-violence is so much glorified. Rajarshi, the definition of Rajarshi means one who is Buddha within, but Arjuna without. That is Rajarshi. If someone becomes Arjuna without and does not become Buddha within, then he becomes Hitler alone. So therefore, it is not undermining their position. But when you give them position more than what they deserve in regards to governance, then what happens? Buddhas will create incompetent and non-heroic leaders. In fact, one big historian, he writes, because of the influence of Buddhism in the royalty, Buddhism as per Lord Buddha's philosophy, very much respected in regards to non-violence. We appreciate that. But when Buddhism was accepted by the royalty to such an extent that one of the king even stopped the surgery in the Ayurveda, Sushruta Samhita. He said because it causes violence. The science of surgery, was existing. If you study the Ayurvedic literature, now also some of these Ayurvedic people do that. But surgical science is the science of not theory. It's a science of learning from a teacher. That was lost because the rule was made. And the Buddhistic influence on the kings made them feel they became more of a philosopher than the practical people. Right? So, it's a very important principle for us to understand. Dharma is not a rule-centric, it's a narrative-centric. Dharma is not static, it is dynamic. Therefore, when people say, no, whatever they do, why are you doing like this? Again, if it is your personal choice, you are alone in the world and you choose, I want to follow the feminine ethics, that is great. That is glorified. Because it will give you a perfection instantly. But when you are responsible to the kingdom, you are responsible to the family, you are responsible to the structure, then the narrative, the ethics is not rule-centric, it becomes a narrative-centric. It is fluid, it is moving. Rule-centric is alone, apne liye, khud ke liye. But the narrative-centric is for the society. Shukra Niti is basically, do whatever it takes to establish the right thing. Use adharma, use dharma to establish dharma. Now very interesting here, Krishna had annihilated most of the powerful demonic kings who were outright demons in the guise of rulers. Kamsa, there is no confusion whether Kamsa should be killed or not. Right? He was killing children, killing so many people, imprisoned his father, imprisoned Vasudeva and Devaki, destroyed so many kings. So he had to be killed, and he was the commander-in-chief of Jarasan. Jarasan, should he kill or no? There is no confusion. Ekalavya, many people have confusion. But if you read Mahabharata, he was as demonic as Jarasandha. Therefore, Krishna killed Ekalavya outside the battlefield. And you can't blame Krishna for caste politics. Because Jarasandha, Ekalavya was a son of a king. And Krishna was in one sense, a caste perspective, was a Vaishya. He's Yadav. Okay. गाय चराने वाले, गाय भी नहीं, कृष्ण के पास भैंस भी थी. Rupa Goswami explains in the one of his book that Mother Yashoda would also make sweets from buffalo milk also. So Krishna had all that also. Salva, Narakasur. Narakasur had kidnapped 16,000 girls. Krishna killed him. There was no confusion, usko maru ya nahi. Bhaumasur, Shishupal, there was no confusion. So the outright demons were destroyed by Krishna. However, the problem was in Hastinapur, which was the epicenter of politics. Some of the greatest powers were centralized in Hastinapur. Bhishma, Drona, Karna, Bahallika, Bhurishrava, Shalya, Kripa, Kritavarma. Kritavarma fought for the Pandavas, fought for the Kauravas, even though he is a Yadava, and Shakuni. Bhishma was not a king, but actively taking part. Drona had got his kingdom stolen or captured from Panchal, Naresh, Drupad, but he settled in Hastinapur only. Karna was king of Angadesh, but still he was in Hastinapur. Bahallika was the relative contemporary of Shantanu Maharaj. Bhurishrava also. Shalya sided on behalf of the Kurus. And what was his nature? Shalya, people always say he was an uncle of Pandavas. How was he bad? He was accidentally taken by them. But it is explained Shalya was very ambitious person. He knew very clear if Duryodhan wins the war, since he is not very good in ruling, eventually I can be independent. So better that Duryodhan wins the war. But if the Pandavas win, I need to remain forever subordinate to them because they will rule nicely. And therefore, he posed this thing that, Duryodhan invited me, I thought it is your reception and I promised to him. So people came with many agendas. Therefore, the battle was not with outrightly dharmic or clearly adharmic persons. Gita was not spoken to kill Duryodhana and his party. So the conflict for the Pandavas and for Krishna also, they were not outrightly like Kamsa, Ekalavya, Jarasandha, Shishupal. For a police officer to kill hardcore murderer is no big deal. But just imagine that murderer also has some good intention, accidentally has become like that. Many times you find such cases. I remember many years back, I was in one jail, not as a prisoner, to teach. So went there in Kolhapur, and the police officer said you should talk to the murderers. मैं आपको 300 मर्डरों को लेक्चर देने के लिए दूंगा. 300 murderers were there, and I was supposed to give a lecture. And I said, what is the system? They are on the other side of the bar and I'm this side. He said, no, they'll be sitting like this only. I said, my God, if I make one mistake, I say something wrong, they have already murdered and they could easily do with me also. So I was thinking, what should I speak? I was praying to Krishna. And then from the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna asked this question, Atakyano prayuktam papam chariti purusha. Anishtanapi varshne valadiva niyojita. Arjuna asked Krishna, what is that force, even though I don't want to do harm to others, what is that force which makes me to do? But when I came there, I saw of those 300 murderers, one or two people had done consciously orchestrated murders, one after another, one after another. But rest, everybody was a circumstantial murderer. They were pious people, somewhere in the field, accidentally out of anger they had murdered, but they were going through the punishment. And I will tell you, it was one of the greatest kirtan we ever had, because there was no pretense. They knew that we are criminals, because it was declared. And they were chanting. I have still pictures of those. I was walking in all these murderers. After one, that program was over, then the jailer said, he started telling me, isne 6 kiya, isne 3 kiya hai. So, basically, when you have to deal with such people, you know why they did, along with what they did, then that gives rise to a conflict. So should I punish them or not? Right. So Arjuna heard the Bhagavad Gita from Krishna not to kill Duryodhan, but to deal with Bhishma, Drona, Kripa, whom he never wanted to touch, never wanted to say any bad word. If Arjuna is like this, what to speak of Yudhishthira Maharaj? Can you imagine the conflict? So therefore, Dharma Sthapana doesn't happen only by killing the outright evil people. The confusion about Dharma Sthapana happens when so-called dharmic people in their personal life, personally they have dharma, but in public sphere their dharma becomes so adharmic. We discuss Bhishma, Drona, Karna, Kripacharya, Bhurishrava. What do you do with them? They are all your superiors. So, after the Yudhishthira Maharaj went to forest, he did not live a life of simply like a recluse. Oh, now I'm freed from all this politics. Abhi Vrindavan jagar aaram se bhajan karunga main. He did that also. But what he did was, he traveled across so many forests, learning many things. And one of the things Yudhishthira Maharaj learned, he was taught by one great sage how to gamble. And in the Vedas it is explained that a king should learn the art of gambling also. Because as a Kshatriya, after doing some yajna, especially Rajasuya sacrifice, if there are some relatives who have not given you tributary, in the name of being relatives, you also need to take their kingdom under your control. Taking under your control means not that you take away their whole adhikar, but officially they come under your control and they have to give you tributaries. So that has to be done. For doing that, you invite for a friendly gambling match. And inviting them in the gambling match, you defeat them. Instead, Yudhishthira Maharaj inviting Duryodhan, Duryodhan invited Yudhishthira Maharaj. It became opposite. The Vedas explain this. The Mahabharata also explains this. And therefore, Yudhishthira Maharaj being a very nice person, he had an attachment for gambling, but he had no expertise in gambling. Just imagine, if you are into the world, be in the world, right, like a lotus flower. Kitna katin hai. छोड़ जाना रे, नहीं करना है, that is easy. To give up things, giving up things is very easy. Getting attached to things is very easy. But living a life of balance is the most difficult thing, and that is what actually Krishna is talking about in the Bhagavad Gita as yoga. Yoga is not completely giving up. Yoga is not completely getting attached. Yoga means you are there but you are not there. Only those who can do it, yukta hara, yukta vihara, yukta chestusu karmasu, balancing life. Yoga means what? Yoga means actually balancing. One who can balance physically, mentally, emotionally, socially, he becomes Arjuna. And therefore Bhagavad Gita is spoken To say Bhagavad Gita basically encourages war, no, it doesn't encourage war. It tells life is so difficult, sometime you have to deal. You have to be Arjun, or somebody has to be Arjun because you are Bhishma. Tough decisions, not cruel decisions, tough decisions have to be taken. Arjuna is shooting at Bhishma Dev and crying also. गुस्सा करना आसान है. अगर किसी स्कूल में बच्चों को मारने के लिए बोला गया, रूल बना दिया, मारने की इच्छा पहले से ही है, राइट? If you become a police officer, you always have the tendency to be brutal. Now you got a law in your hand also. Nobody can question you. But can you beat and cry also? For Yudhishthira Maharaj to tell lie about his teacher that your son is dead, one who has never spoken lie to anybody in his life, one who speaks lie always, उसके लिए आसान है, लेकिन कभी झूठ बोला ही नहीं है. He has to speak the lie, and whom he has to speak lie in front? He has to speak in front of his own guru, his teacher. Was it easy for him? Who has never spoke lie in his life. In fact, Yudhishthira Maharaj was so good in his mind when they had to marry Draupadi, all of them together. Can you imagine? There was a confusion. Arjuna won her, but then circumstance and the prediction was that all five will marry Draupadi because Vasudev told them the story. And that happened through Kunti speaking something. And then Yudhishthira saw that everybody is looking at Draupadi with a not lustful eye. Many translators have translated lust से देख रहे थे. Lust नहीं, इच्छा. Calm is not necessarily always lust. Dharmic काम, dharma artha kama is recommended. So Yudhishthira Maharaj said to Mother Kunti, he said, Mother, we all will marry Draupadi. And Kunti was shocked. And Yudhishthira said, my dear mother, because it is come in my mind, it cannot be adharma. किसी में दम है ऐसा बोलने के लिए? Because we can justify to our fellow friends. We can convince our counselor. We can even tell this to our spiritual master, and he'll say, okay, Baba, beta, abhi tu bol raha hai. If you're saying like that, what can I do? He's compassionate because he's not the one who takes the role of dispensing punishment to us. Because ultimately, everything what we say and what we do, nobody is responsible other than our own self. So for Yudhishthira Maharaj to say this in front of his great mother, in front of Arjuna, in front of Draupadi, to say that since it has come in my mind, it cannot be adharma. इसलिए हम सब लोग शादी करेंगे. In fact, the Shastras want us to be that empowered, where we take responsibility of our decisions. To say that it is come in my mind, therefore it has to be right. Usually what happens, we always look for someone to take responsibility of our decision. Always say, अरे प्रभु जी ने बोला था, अरे वो मेरे सीनियर माता जी ने बोला था, इसीलिए मैंने लिया. And we feel that because they gave the decision, the responsibility of the consequences is theirs. No. They may have given you advice and decision, but execution of that action is yours. Therefore, consequences belong to you only, which Yudhishthira Maharaj knew very clear. Therefore, the Shastras want us to be so empowered that we say, I take decision of my life, not recklessly, but being empowered. So he took that decision. Change in the Yudhishthira after the battle. He changed. He learned his lesson, offering respect and finding secrets of how to kill the greatest of opponents. Now Shalya was the uncle of Madri's son, Nakul and Sahadev. He came to Bhishma. Yudhishthira Maharaj seek their blessings, came to Durona, seek their blessing, then he came to Kripacharya, seek their blessing, then he came to Shalya, offered his obeisances, and after offering obeisances, he said, my dear uncle, I have something to ask from you. This is Yudhishthira Maharaj able to reconcile between being Buddha and following the Shukra Niti. Samman kya? Personally, mere superior, they are my superiors, I will offer my obeisances to them. Like Prahlad also, he never disrespected his father, but he never agreed with his father. Simultaneously together he was able to do it. What happens to us is that when we disregard or disagree with our superior, we disrespect also. When we submit to our superior, we become stupid also by giving our own free thinking also. That is the problem of living entity. Why he cannot stand in Shirshasana? Because balance hi nahi hai. My yoga teacher was telling, Shirshasana is nothing to do with a physical balancing like a circus. He said Shirshasana is basically balancing begins with the mind. अगर आपका mind balance है तो आपका body balance बन जाएगा. If you learn the art of balancing, your mind will also balance. He said therefore the physical balance has connection to mental balance. A mental balance has a connection to physical balance. A mental and physical balance has a connection to intellectual balance. It's a very phenomenal thing. Right? So therefore, what Yudhishthira Maharaj did, genuinely, he went and begged their blessings. But at the same time, he was practicing what ethics? The masculine ethics also. A change Yudhishthira Maharaj. In the forest, again when Bhima, we tell one side of the story. When Gandharvas captured Duryodhan and they bound him and they brought him, they were about to bring, when the news reached Yudhishthira Maharaj that Duryodhan has been bound by the Gandharva, he told Bhima and Arjun, go and release him because he's our brother. Bhima said, what we could not achieve with all our armies, the Gandharvas have done. Be happy. Yudhishthira Maharaj said, no, you can't say like that because after all he's our cousin. Within we are 100, we are 5 and they are 100, but with outside people we are 105. You think Bhima agreed with that? He did not agree. He said, I don't accept this. So then Yudhishthira Maharaj said, my dear Bhima, you know what? The greatest pain you can give to Duryodhan is be compassionate to him. By being kind to Duryodhan, he will suffer so much that I have been forgiven by my enemy. I have been protected by my enemy. Bhima said, that makes so much of sense, so I will go now. That is what the Mahabharata says. This principle of Yudhishthira Maharaj did not work. So when he went there and he exhibited his compassion, he fought the Gandharvas, brought Duryodhan, and Duryodhan was released by Yudhishthira Maharaj. And what happened to Duryodhan? Duryodhan was about to commit suicide. Bola, I was forgiven by my enemy. I can't leave. He told Dushasana, I am sitting for Amaran Upwas. Fasting till death. I can't take it that my enemy has forgiven me. So was Yudhishthira Maharaj's daya, compassion was genuine or is what political? It was genuine, but it also has the flavor of political because he was a king. He changed. There was a transformation of Yudhishthira Maharaj. Many times I have also compared Yudhishthira to Gandhi. Sorry for that aparad. Because Yudhishthira Maharaj learned the art of changing. And then what did he tell Shalya? After offering obeisances to Shalya, Yudhishthira Maharaj said, how much political astuteness, alertness he had. This shows the brilliance of Yudhishthira Maharaj. Why Krishna chose Yudhishthira as a king over Arjuna and Bhima? Because he was philosophically strong and his tantra also had changed. He said, my dear Shalya, during the battle, Duryodhana will come to you to ask you to, hold the reins of Karna's chariot. Karna want you to hold his chariot because you are as good as Krishna in maneuvering the chariot. So, Shalya also knew this before because Yudhishthira Maharaj told. And what did Yudhishthira tell him? He said, my dear uncle, when you do that, he said, keep provoking Karna when you are riding the chariot. Usko disturb karte raho. You keep agitating him. Because what is the nature of Karna? He gets provoked. When he gets provoked, he makes mistakes. When Draupadi told, I will not marry a Suta, so what happened? He missed the target by less than a mustard seed. Right. So, the point is, she would not marry him, that's okay. But at least you show that you have the capacity to do it. But the nature of Karna is what? You provoke, he get disturbed. Somebody wrote, because Draupadi said, therefore he got disturbed. Otherwise he could have shot. Study Arjuna. Arjuna was ridiculed by everybody because Arjuna came as a Brahmana. The Brahmanas were ridiculing him. The Kshatriyas were ridiculing him. Only one person was blessing him was Krishna because they knew it's Arjun. Some Brahmana said, hey, jaake dahi bhat kha lo. You have come here, you should be chanting mantras in some puja and you are trying to take this bow and arrow. He said, what are you trying to prove here? When the Kshatriyas were not able to do and you are trying to do this. Most of the Brahmanas were ridiculing. Some of the Brahmanas said, I think today this Brahmana is going to make our community proud. Wahan jativad aa gaya thoda. No? So, Arjuna was provoked by people, but his nature, when you disturb Arjuna, he becomes more stronger. No, I did 3 days seminar in Pune about Arjun. 3 days for Arjun. No? I wanted 7 days. So one of the character of Arjuna, he becomes prosperous when he put in a challenging situation. In the exhibition match, Karna did better than Arjun. Because it's an exhibition. Arjuna is not after winning the gold medal. Because that is not real thing. Arjuna is all about making you victorious in the battle. In the stage, Karna performs well, but in life, Arjuna performs very well. You disturb him, he does great. So therefore, Yudhishthira Maharaj knew that very clearly, as we discussed yesterday. I recommend, if you are bored, if you want humor, and you are bored with regular humors, open the Mahabharata, the Karna Parva, and read the conversation between Shalya and Karna, and how much Shalya consciously, unconsciously, first it was a strategy to help Yudhishthira Maharaj, but it became his habit only. He naturally started condemning Karna, and Karna was so disturbed, but Karna was also not less. Insulting was also his character. He had insulted Bhishma, he had insulted Drona. He told one time Duryodhana, these people are salaried by you, Drona and Karna, Dronacharya and Bhishma, but they are working about the Pandavas. He said, hata da unko, sack them, I will do everything for you. No, he would be able to say all that. So that's what Yudhishthira Maharaj did. Not only that, Yudhishthira Maharaj told, we discussed that also, Dronacharya asked the secret. He asked Bhishma Dev also, what is the secret of killing you? Bhishma said, beta, you come at the right time, I will tell you. After the 9th day of the battle, now Arjuna was not doing his work properly whenever Bhishma would come in the front. So third day and the 9th day, Krishna came out of the chariot and he rushed to kill Bhishma. Arjuna said, don't kill, I will do it. Krishna said, you promised twice. He said, I will do tomorrow for sure. When they went back to the camp, Arjuna said, how can I kill Bhishma? It is not that after hearing the Bhagavad Gita, instantly he was enlightened and was doing duty, because it is difficult. How can you kill? Strike Bhishma. He said that, he came back, Krishna, how can I do? And then Yudhishthira Maharaj told Krishna, my dear Lord, this is what Bhishma had told, this is the right time to go and ask him. They had some glimpse, so they come to Bhishma. And Yudhishthira Maharaj said, my dear grandfather, as long as you are there, we can't win. And you are killing our soldiers left, right, center. So please tell us, how can we stop you from fighting? And then Bhishma, follower of Vrat, he said, I have taken a vow that whoever is a woman, I don't fight. Because you don't win only. Huh? So I don't fight them. He said, anyone is a woman, I don't. And it's true. I am not telling, it's a reality. You are not supposed to win only. That is the rule. Right. So he said, I will not fight. Anyone is a woman who resembles like a woman, who has a resemblance of name like a woman, who was a woman in her last lifetime. ऐसा जो भी है, वो अगर मेरे सामने रहेंगे तो मैं युद्ध नहीं करूंगा. And he gave more secrets. He said Shikandi was Amba and now come as a Shikandi. So they placed Shikandi on not Arjuna's chariot, that is how they have shown, but in the front. So whenever Bhishma would see Shikandi, he would turn his face away. And Shikandi would shoot at Bhishma. And in this way, while keeping Shikandi in the forefront, using her or him as an armor, for Bhishma, he was she. For everybody else, she was he. Shikandi was male only. So then Bhishma was shot dead. And who was responsible for that? In one sense, Yudhishthira Maharaj. There was a transformation in him. Lying to eliminate Drona. Dharma was established by Yudhishthira Maharaj. But this question is always raised, was it worth it? How many people died? When Yudhishthira Maharaj asked by Dhritarashtra, how many people died? He talks about some Arab, which is more than many crores. Many crore soldiers were killed on the battlefield. And he asked him, what was their destination? What is their destination? Then Yudhishthira Maharaj explains, different people died with different consciousness. Some achieved Brahmalok, some achieved Sargalok, some came back to this world, some achieved another land. Apne chetna ke anusar, when they departed from this world. How long Yudhishthira ruled? Just for 36 years. Just for 36 years he ruled. For ruling for 36 years, was that battle worth it? People ask this question. Another understanding is his 36 years and then Parikshit Maharaj ruled for 60 years. Still, to all that number is 100 years of dharmic rule. Is it worth it? I've heard this question hundreds of people ask. But the answer is, a dharmic rule even for one day is worth it. Because in that one day, many people can achieve perfection. And for 100 years, in the Bhagavatam, it is explained, because the Pandavas' rule was full of prosperity, the stability was there. And when there is a material stability which is coming from dharma, we discussed that yesterday with Dronacharya, day before yesterday, poverty gives rise to doing all kinds of wrong things. So therefore, when there is a stable prosperity with dharma in the center, it is but natural that you become inclined towards philosophy. Daridra jisko बार बार दरिद्रता मिली है, it is not possible. In fact, Saraswati Thakur explains, if poverty and disease has to make you a philosopher, every person who is suffering in the hospital has to be a philosopher, but instead they become agnostic or atheistic. Wherever there is great suffering, it is not necessarily people become philosopher. It is not true. It has not proven. But wherever there is stability, a prosperity which is coming from dharma, it is but natural that people become more conscious and curious about practicing dharmic principles, Sanatan Dharma. When we go to villages, when you tell people, killing cow is as good as, as many hairs are there on your body. Shastra speaks that many time you will have to be appearing as cow and get slaughtered. Right, that is there in the scripture. But the point is, when you go and sing, it is easier for a speaker to give that talk because he has his car. In his car there is food cooked by somebody else. Somebody is giving him food. Modern day sadhus never go hungry. And previously also. Right. For them to speak, this is very easy. That is what I said. Speaking what we speak, does it make sense to whom are you speaking? Because if there is no water for them to drink, there is no water for them to bathe, there is no water for 3 days, 4 days, just speaking this to them is going to add more injury to their already, wounded lifestyle. You are adding more philosophical aspect to that. Therefore, Shastra says rather than telling them philosophy, you create a facility where they can practice. Therefore, Tattva, a talk is secondary compared to action. Right. So therefore, Krishna coming and establishing Dharma is not simply a speech-centric. Instead, Bhagavad Gita, Krishna spoke not to make Arjuna deep philosopher in life, rather use philosophy for leading a life. Philosophy is a tool. But unfortunately what happens? Philosophy becomes a goal. Life becomes sideline. So Krishna spoke the Gita, the Atma Tattva, as a tool for Arjuna to engage him in a positive action. That's very important. So, therefore, establishing Dharma by Yudhishthira Maharaj, using Yudhishthira Maharaj, a catalyst for war, because during Duryodhana's time, education fell apart, cow protection fell apart. If a woman of high stature like Draupadi could be abused, what would happen? There was a perpetual violence created by Duryodhana, a legacy of violence, a legacy of injustice. And that becomes a lifestyle of people. Chalta hai, kya kare abhi? Part of life, what can be done? When people start believing in adharma as part of life and perpetually is going to happen and nobody is going to change, can you imagine? A life of deception, however long we live, however happily we live, it is not life of freedom. But with dharma, with such a sacrifice by the Pandavas, even 100 years made how many crores of people practice dharma in such a way, because the goal of life is ultimately, whether it is dharma, artha, kama, the purpose of life is to experience ultimate perfection, which we call as prema, or we call as mukti, we call as moksha. But what the Vedic literature teaches, while living, while performing your duty, in relationship you experience liberation, not outside the relationship. In duty you experience liberation. In your swadharma you experience liberation. Therefore, nowhere in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna taught Arjuna to give up things. Rather, he taught him to give the mentality of ownership. Nowhere in the Bhagavad Gita. Therefore, just imagine if Krishna had not established dharma, lakhs of people would have not got the right kind of lifestyle. they would only get a philosophy, and philosophy does not change your life unless there is a right system of life. We discussed that on the very first day. If there is no food for 3 days, all my philosophy will go from my brain only, however much I have studied. What will be the forefront? The forefront will be, where is my food? Where is my food? Where is my food? Therefore, that famous statement is there. पहले पेट पूजा, बाद में गोपाल की पूजा. Ironically, that is the truth of life. And Krishna knows it very well. Therefore, he uses to establish dharma so that we can actually take philosophy very seriously and move on. Therefore, one should always congratulate, even though this happened 5,000 years ago, Yudhishthira Maharaj, that because of Gita, because of Bhagavad, because of Ramayana, because of Mahabharata, still large number of India, they follow the system of family. Kutumb abhi bhi hai. May not be in the big cities, even in the big cities are there. People still feel, I need to take care of my father, I still need to take care of my mother, still take care of my brothers and sister. So in that Kutumba, when we add Gita, it will create a legacy. And the Pandavas proved that. In their conflicting situation, they were able to practice philosophy. Their individual life was, except Bhima, everybody had the mentality of being Buddha. And they remained Buddha internally. But they became warriors externally, so that in doing their duty of Swadharma, let there be Loka Sangra, समाज का भला हो जाए, समाज का भला हो जाए. इस दृष्टिकोण को रखने के कारण, because they maintained this consciousness, they became most dear to Krishna. Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita to the family of Pandavas, and Krishna spoke Bhagavatam to the family of Pandavas. And without Pandavas, we would not have Bhagavad Gita. Without the Pandavas, we would not have Bhagavatam. Therefore, their contribution, their sacrifice should always be glorified. Whenever you perform Shraddha to your ancestor, please invoke the Pandavas, the greatest of the leaders of this country, Bharat. And therefore, Prabhupada, compiled Gita and Bhagavatam, glorified Krishna through these books, asked us to study, distribute this, so that the legacy of Krishna and the legacy of Pandavas continue to exist as long as this creation is there. And creation will always remain. Thank you very much for your kind attention for 7 days in the city of Bombay. Coming every day, 7 days, it's like a violence on my part, because I stay here, you stay in different parts of the city. In fact, we were discussing this in one place. Even someone wants to come and hear about Krishna is extremely rare. We should congratulate them, we should thank them, and we should be grateful to them. So I thank you and offer my gratitude and beg forgiveness wherever I made a mistake. Hare Krishna. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki.
RG Media YouTube channel. Like, share, subscribe.